Okay. Hi, Olivier.
Hello, Susanna.
I'm just walking through the gallery while we wait for people to arrive online. And I
Great.
think there's already some people tuned in. So, hi to Valentina from the UK and Mary Dublin. So, very happy to have you here.
Hello there.
And maybe you can put in our faces in the view, Olivier, so they know that we're gonna come there soon. And oh, hi, Valentina. Hi, Kath. Very happy to have Kath here. We go way back, and I'm very happy to see you here.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I just started walking through the gallery a bit, just for, people who, maybe have seen it or haven't seen it. So I'll just continue with doing that, and please, everyone that arrives in, make yourself known. Let
Hello,
us know where you
Kathleen.
come
Thanks for
from.
joining. As Susanna has just explained, we're just waiting for more people to join in. And meanwhile, Susanna is strolling through the virtual space that we have launched a while ago and showing us, her work in the space. I hope that some of you have visited that space already and taken a look at the exhibition.
Yeah, so I'm taking the driver's seat and just, having a browse. Hi, Owen. Owen's here, so fantastic. Thanks to Owen for mentioning me on his art blog. I was very happy to read it. Thank you.
Hi, Owen. I've just displayed the path to our virtual space there. I don't know if you can
Mhm.
see it.
So if people click on that, they arrive kind of there, and then there's all the info on what's happening, the statement about the show, how to navigate. But you can also take a shortcut and just do a click here, and then you'll arrive in the gallery and either choose the enter exhibition to walk through by yourself, or a guided tour where it leads you through the individual images, and you can avail of the info. You can pause it if you want to take a closer look and resume again. Am I doing that right, Olivier?
Yes, it's perfect.
You're the pro
You've become
in,
an expert now at
yeah,
navigating through the
you're
space.
you're the pro in doing the guided one. I always like to just see what happens when you navigate yourself, and it's quite different if you're using whatever application you're using, if it's on the computer or if you're on the phone. On the phone, I like that you can also just swipe around like I would do here with the mouse, and just kind of turn your gaze. So let's see, do we have any? Michael, hi Michael, lovely to see you all and have you joining in.
Just to maybe explain what we're going to be doing tonight, we've had a few live streams before. Tonight, we thought we would take a closer look at Susanna's work in her exhibition Sitzfleisch. So we'd love it if some of you who might have seen the exhibition before in this virtual space that we're looking at the moment, if some of you might have some specific questions about some of the works that are displayed, sorry, in that space. What I do is I'm just going to say a few words about Susanne Wawra. Susanna was born in East Germany, and she lives and works in Dublin, Ireland. She completed her master's degree in English and Communications and Media at the University of Leipzig, Germany. And she moved to Dublin to work for an international big player back in 2007. Susanna graduated in fine art painting at the National College of Art and Design, or NCAD, in Dublin. And she won the Talbot Gallery and Studio's Most Promising Graduate Award in 2016. Further, she also received a highly commended in the Global Undergraduate Award in 2016. And she has been listed as one of the 4 artists in the visual arts category of 50 people to watch in 2017. And that was in the Irish Times, the famous Irish newspaper. Susanna's work has been shown in many different places: Miami, Dresden in Germany, Bilbao in Spain, Edinburgh in Scotland as well. Last year, from April to August 2019, Susanna participated in a group show titled A Vague Anxiety at IMA, the Irish Museum of Modern Art in Dublin. The exhibition, which was curated by Sean Kissan, featured the work of emerging artists and international artists exploring issues such as climate change, the housing crisis, borders, and identity. So that's for the introduction about Susanna. Last week, Susanna gave 2 interviews in 2 magazines in Dublin Enquirer and also the Gloss magazine. And thanks again to the 2 journalists for doing such a great job. In those 2 interviews, there was one painting, Susanna, that featured very highly in those interviews, in Der Blüte, which I might just bring up here, if I may. Let me just go to the right piece.
Thanks for the introduction, Olivier.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And also, I've put on my art hat because
good.
You know, like in the pandemic, you have to wear all the different hats in one house. You know, you kind of have to do all your roles in one house. And I mean, as an artist, it's, you know, it's easier because you might have a different kind of working life, but people that usually go to work and then have to be at home and mind their kids and at the same time do all their meetings online and everything. It's that was just my hats off to, you know, people that are everyone that's doing that at the moment. And yeah, so my art hat. And I also have a silly hat. Sorry, I can't do without the comedic.
I love it.
Yeah, it's vintage. It's like back from my childhood. So, but yeah, no, we're onto the work.
Yeah, referring to your childhood, yes, I was saying that, you know, In der Blüte is a painting that maybe a painting, and you can explain that as well, that features your mother. And maybe you could give us the context for that painting. I think it would give people a good idea of your practice. I was saying that you were born in East Germany in your introduction.
I was born in East Germany, and I'm of the last generation that experienced for myself a small portion of my life in that political system. But my parents' generation, they were born into the state of the German Democratic Republic and grew up there. And I'm looking at family albums And one of the photos there is my mother, who kindly agrees to be in my work, as the rest of my family does, because they're my protagonists in looking at the connection between autobiography and kind of social political history. So here my mum is around just touching 20. She's kind of casually sitting, hanging in the garden in a bikini. The photo is, as you see, you know, the black imagery, it's a negative of the photograph, just to introduce some kind of mystery and meaning, because here I'm also adding all the pinks and the lusciousness of tropical flowers and exotic, kind of that exotic exuberance. And it is called In der Blüte, in bloom, which refers to, on one hand, my mum in her bloom, in her young years, where you're ready to go out in the world and explore, and in bloom also referring to kind of the flowering and the spring and the blossoms. But the contradiction in it is that growing up and living in East Germany at that time, you weren't allowed to travel to the West. You were able to travel to bits of the Eastern Bloc. And if you were to dream of going West, you'd have to wait until you're age 60 and already spent, you know, a large portion of your life in that system. So it is touching on that kind of boundary and border. And you can also see I do, because you referred to the technique as well, Olivier, which I call printing, because it's like an amalgamation of printing and painting. So printing, I'm using the photograph and transfer printing it, and I'm putting that on fabric instead of blank canvas or a blank surface. The fabric itself is from a bed sheet or pillow cover, so it already has an intimate history and kind of like a secret, and also, yeah, there's always already something in there. We don't know, but you know, there's some history. There's secondhand fabrics, and if you can see that kind of line through the middle, that's actually one of the seams that I stretched over it, just to bring in another element of just hinting to that. Yeah, so that's the in bloom.
I'm always fascinated by artists who use, for lack of a better word, mixed media. In your case, those transfers, the sort of the patterned clothing and everything. For me, and I don't know if it's the case here, and I think it might be, and like artists using collage as well. There's always an element of fragments, like fragmented memory, bringing into the present, which is, I suppose, the canvas, elements from the past. And I suppose in your case, it serves the narrative very well, doesn't it? That you're bringing those elements from the past as fragments and then incorporating them into what you're creating on the canvas.
Yeah, fragments rings really good and kind of essential to it, because if you're thinking of kind of memory or just the mind, if you're looking at something like a photograph and you don't really know what was happening there, so it's, you know, there's always a level of interpretation and kind of a layering of meaning, your own meaning, maybe something somebody told you, or it could be anything that sets it off. And in my work, through the layering, you know, the fabric is still in parts visible in terms of the color and patterning, because the transfer where there's no color in the print it will be see-through, so it will reveal the back. So you always have kind of an interaction between the different layers, the different histories, or the different fragments that contribute to a whole.
And the use of black and white imagery as well, I think. I mean, in this piece, it's very sort of obvious as well. Could you tell us a bit about that in terms of those choices that you're making in terms of color and shapes and forms and things like that?
Yeah, in terms of the color, I mean, a lot of the photographs that I'm sourcing from that back then would be black and white, because color photography wasn't available. And so the photos, if I show them to, kind of friends or peers, they would kind of put them back a little bit further, because they already used color photographs in the 80s, for example. So that was when I was born. So you have the black and white photographs. So I'm working with the black and white, but I'm also sometimes making them colorful and introducing color in that. But it's definitely kind of a staple, a sign of the times and of the documents that I have. And I do have some few pieces that are actually from color photographs, and those would be showing that we had a visitor from the West who took that photograph and then sent it on to us.
Right. I see more people joining in. Brenda, Valentina, hello, Kathleen. You're very welcome. We're talking about one specific work here in Der Blüte by Susanne, a painting featuring her mother. You were saying that, obviously the protagonists in your narratives are usually members of your family. I think we could show another one featuring, I think, your uncle, if I'm correct. Let me...
Yeah.
Well, actually, we can talk about this one, actually.
We can stay at that one. That's my grandmother.
That's your grandmother. And the title of the painting, could you tell us a bit more about that?
So I called it, I mean, it's really small script there, but it's called Frau Lisa Kahlo. So it's like Mrs. Lisa Kahlo as a reference to Frida Kahlo. And my grandma's name is Lisa. She's my only surviving grandparent. And she is there sitting in one of those, like I found that photograph and it's just so beautiful. There's a whole series where I think somebody photographed the whole family in different settings around like one of those woven chairs that do kind of ring to me kind of the Frida Kahlo aesthetic when she's shown in photographs or shown herself in her work, because of course due to her accident and her kind of physical disability, she was mostly seated. So for me to bring kind of a reference to Frida into Sitzfleisch, like the theme of the show, like Sitzfleisch, seat meat or sitting flesh. I thought that was quite iconic as such, and just seeing my grandmother there in that great pose and dress just totally spoke Frida to me.
She certainly looks very determined. You've just mentioned the title of your show, Sitzfleisch, and for those that haven't attended the previous sort of live events that we did, could you just explain a bit about the concept of Sitzfleisch and the multi layers behind those two words as well, just to give people an idea as well?
Of course, because I'm kind of challenging, maybe an English speaking public, because it's one of those words that we have in the German language that might be used or bleed out. But of course, there's other German words like I can only think Schadenfreude, Weltschmerz, like terms that would be more common. But Sitzfleisch is one of those compound words where you take two words and put them together and create something new. So Sitz, seat, Fleisch, meat, is in a literal sense the meat that you're sitting on, so you're behind your bum. And in another sense, Sitzfleisch is, if I say to you, Olivier, I think you've shown a lot of Sitzfleisch on putting on this show and finding a way to transport, a portion of your gallery online. So that would mean that I'm complimenting you on a kind of persistence and sitting it through, and starting from an idea, and even though there were difficulties in between, like technical and how do this and that, just to actually kind of sit it through and keep at it, and then come out with a result and just prove that perseverance.
But I have to return the compliment to you, because I think it takes two in most cases to have Sitzfleisch, So
yeah. Thank you, thanks. And I think it's, and for me, so Sitzfleisch, I like the kind of the bit of humor and maybe ambiguity and playfulness, but at the same time, it is, the way that I kind of demonstrated it on that compliment to you. I think it's also very descriptive of the creative process of because as life as an artist, you're not in it for the short. It's kind of, you have to be in it for the long run, and it's not the easiest career to choose. And in terms of working, you have to really get used to dealing with the amount of frustration and failure and not knowing what you're actually doing, and because you get into different phases in making work. It might be for a show, it might be in kind of looking at your whole practice. So for me, the show Sitzfleisch is also about that. For example, if you and I'm using a lot of Fleisch, which is meat or sausages, and it's I don't know, it's a funny thing. It just happens to have developed into one of my motifs, as you could say, to use food that I connect back to memories or at home, which in this case are sausages and meat. And the image you pulled up there of my uncle with those weird balloon, looking like an upside down balloon shaped form, is actually a type of sausage that you would hang, kind of in your, you would hang, and then it kind of cures, and depending on your preference, you'd have it hard or soft. And it's, for me, that form represents, like it's with every new work that I make, or every new way that I look at it, it takes on another angle. It's crazy. Like those sausages, I had a big triptych in Aflon in a show called Living in a Bubble, where I'm referring to those sausages as bubble sausages. And the triptych that is now in Germany is called Flesh and Blut. And I'm using those sausages as a kind of a family tree. And then in another one, so it takes on different forms. And also, if you can go to that little sculpture, Die Gabe, the gift.
Die Gabe, let me.
Because here, he's holding that sausage on his arm and kind of showing it something, or interacting with it. and the way he's pointing is the way we've placed it in the show is towards this piece. And it's actually, I have him here, I'm gonna just get him. So maybe you want to pull up just the images of us so people can
Yes, great.
see as well. Oh, Philomena is here from Eflon. Yeah, Philomena, she kind of interviewed me about living in a bubble show as well. So Eflon, the Lewin Gallery it was just amazing to be able to show that directly on the river. So this piece is Die Gabe, the gift, and I'm calling him he's only a torso with, you know, kind of a hole for, you know, kind of neck. And he's holding one of those sausages. So, and I'm looking at it in, I mean, you know, different interpretations, but it's kind of like a gentle kind of holding of this something, this kind of meat, this. So either he could be giving it to someone as a gift, or it's actually a gift that you have and you kind of protecting, you know. So in that way, it does. I like things that have those different angles to look at them and interpret.
It is fascinating for me. I love this idea, and only artists can do that. This idea that you can use, your starting point is the figurative meaning, Sitzfleisch, this idea of tenacity, perseverance, and then kind of going back to the primary, just analyzing those two words. That reminds me, I'm French, so we did philosophy in school. And my teacher was always saying, Mr. Cornet, you should start with the obvious first before going into here, art. I wish I were an artist. Art allows you to do the exact opposite, you know. You basically go for the figurative, and then, you know, it is also about exploring the original meaning, analyzing the two words, you know, deconstructing those two words, and then adding more layers to your work. And I find this fascinating, you know, and this is something that artists can do, you know,
Yeah,
and that's brilliant.
and also in terms of, you know, there's different approaches, and you mightn't, as an artist, you mightn't just use one. Like usually I would name my work after it's finished or it's closely finished, because I don't really know what I'm creating. I'm seeing what I'm creating. But for example, for this show, I started with the term Sitzfleisch and then made work and saw what kind of work fits the theme and how I can take it from that literal to, you know, kind of a playful angle, like an obvious angle, a mysterious, you know. So it's yeah.
How did that happen, actually? You know, did you start with, I mean, the premises of did you really start with this idea of perseverance and then it went on? Or did you have all those concepts in your mind at the same time? How did that develop? Do you remember? Or is it something that you're not completely aware of? How does that work? Your thought process for that exhibition, that show?
I think I was just I think it started like the way it started. I don't think I had the full, you know, considerations of where it could go. But the starting point for me was noticing, because I buy a lot of kind of photos and photo albums in bulk online from anonymous people who, you know, might get it from like a flea market, because a household was, you know, kind of just giving them away. So in a lot of those photos, the situations where people would photograph is family gatherings, people sitting at tables, having their
It's one
coffee.
of those, right? You have, oh yeah, that's the one of the coffee. Do you want to show us that one, actually?
Yeah, for example, that one, will I try and pull it up?
Yes, it'll be great, actually. That's the
Because
one that,
the one with
meanwhile, maybe
the one with the photo.
exactly. And let me just, I think that's the one here. That's the finished piece.
Yeah, maybe you show the finished piece and I look for
And that's one that you created while you were doing a residency in Kirrelig, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cyrillic is in County Kerry, and it's just a fantastic place on the edges of a cliff, on the edge of the phone and internet. Like you wouldn't, you'd be happy to get some reception there. And it's this old famine village that was kind of rebuilt into artist studios, and it's just the most fantastic place to kind of have a retreat and also make work. So for that, there I have an image. Let's see, where is it? Well, we tried this earlier and it worked. So
it worked. So we'll try it again. Don't worry. Take your time. Meanwhile, if anybody has any questions, I mean, about any other pieces as well, or just interject, feel free. It's really hello, D. Oh, D is hailing from Luxembourg. You're very welcome.
That's nice.
And Ruth Hickey has just joined as well. Or maybe she was there.
Oh, Ruth, that's fantastic because incidentally, Ruth, I met her at my residency in Cyrillic. Yeah, that's how we know each other. So she's a fellow artist. And
excellent. Hi, Ruth.
So happy you're joining. That's so cool. Olivia, I'm a bit.
I show them. Meanwhile, while you're waiting, I show them the one that you gave me, the gift. You gave me one of your ceramics last year, and I have it on the wall here, so it's easy enough for me.
Cool. And I actually found a photograph, so I'm gonna pull.
And that's, I don't know if people can see it. And this is a beautiful piece that you gave me as a gift last year.
Yeah.
And I just love it.
Yeah, and those, like the way I make those kind of low relief kind of ceramic carvings or drawings. If you, and that was a drawing directly into clay, looking at like an old magazine from GDR times, because I do have a lot of kind of magazines and books, and it was like a photo shoot in a factory, and in the background there's this guy on a sewing machine, and I just loved the kind of juxtaposition of that.
Excellent.
Yeah. So if you can share, I'm so happy.
Yes, let me just bring.
Share that. That's an actual image of. Let's see if I can zoom in. Okay, so this is one of the photographs, and it's they're all photographs based around this person, which I call Martha, and I got a whole bag of photographs, and she is there in different ages. So the way I go about it is this is a ceramic, just clay I rolled out. And then I go about it, and with different like little tools, I draw and kind of make a relief into that. And I'm picking out the scene of, those two women, and this one is kind of really determined to open that bottle of, whatever it might be, but it's very desirable. And this woman with her fork, so it's kind of stylized version of that.
Actually, I have finished. Sorry for cutting across you there. I have the one. That's the one here, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one I treated.
That's the one. Yes.
I treated with, because it's bisque fired, so it's made ceramic. The clay's made ceramic, and I've kind of it's treated with shoe polish, brown shoe polish, and then some oil paint on top. Because I mean, in ceramics there's a lot of glazing, but to retain some details and also play with bringing in different media that you just have around and you want to try, is how that piece ended up being treated with shoe polish.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
And that was a recommendation by a fellow ceramic artist. So yeah.
I think earlier on today you showed me, actually, there's a bit of a clip showing you
Yeah,
working on that piece as well. But don't worry if you can't find it.
yeah, I do have a
Um,
clip of myself working on the one where the women are sitting at the coffee table, because of course, people of an older generation, they would kind of know and remember times that, kind of having coffee. So coffee was, kind of very a special thing. So you'd, put at the table nicely and have the family around, and then bring out coffee.
mm,
So I
yeah,
did capture a scene of that.
and where you're looking for it, if you can find it.
Mm,
What is really interesting about this exhibition as well, we're talking about the various sort of media that you use within, say, a painting or a painting,
mm,
with prints and transfers and paints. Also, the exhibition is interesting in the sense that you are presenting in the show printings, ceramics, sculpture. So that's also really interesting what you've done here. I don't know. I don't think I had seen an exhibition in Ireland before where you had so many different sort of
mm.
media that you've sort of that you're presenting in a single exhibition.
Yeah, no, I was kind of, well, if you establish yourself, or starting to establish yourself, it's always good to have something that's recognizable. As you go into, I mean, the dream for every artist is you go into a gallery or a museum and you look at the piece and oh yeah, kind of that's a Wawra, or that's a
Yes.
Rauschenberg, just so that having that recognizable style, I did kind of show my kind of paintings, my mixed media pieces a lot. But as we talked about last time, is that if you're a creator and experimenting with different materials to express things, maybe in a different language, you might use a different medium. But then kind of bringing that to the public is, of course, you're kind of challenging whoever's looking at your work, or maybe kind of has seen your work and is expecting, more of what they've already seen.
Mm,
Yeah, but I think it's fantastic that I have the opportunity to show
exactly.
kind of
Yes.
those ceramic works and drawings on paper, and yeah.
Actually, we got a question regarding your ceramics from Gary Kiernan. I suppose Gary's hailing from Ireland, maybe,
Mhm.
asking you whether you have worked with air dry clay and whether any of those pieces were produced that way.
Mm-hmm. I have used air dry clay, but only for making models. Um, Let me see. What am I showing you now? Let's see. Can we pull this one up? No. Okay. Let's stop that again, and I'll try
Yeah.
again. I'm just gonna. So Gary, hi. Air dry clay is a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, there's air dry clay that has kind of really strong fibers in it, but in terms of durability, I've only worked to make models to then maybe make a mold of and then cast it in a different material, like kind of concrete or something like that. I mean, now we're all challenged in, I mean, not only now, but like, how do you get access to a kiln? You can get clay, no problem, but how do you get access to a kiln and get your pieces fired? So I think I mean, you can make things with air dry clay. I'm just not sure on how durable they would be. Yeah, because and also in terms of kind of texture and license, and also it depends on how you treat them further, in terms of if you slap on a lot of acrylic paint, or something else that kind of does stabilize it a bit more, I think that's worth doing. But I always, if I'm making those little plates, I do like to take a mold, because in ceramics you get very used to things not working out, to breaking. So yeah, it's always a challenge to find that material that, because you put all your work and you put that work and effort into it, and then you want to end up with something that's more lasting. Yeah. But
I hope
yeah.
we have answered your question, Gary.
Cool. We have somebody from London as well.
Tom Cullen. Oh, I know Tom. Yes. Hello.
Oh, hi, Tom.
Thanks for joining us. Just to say it again, if anybody has any questions on any work in the show or on Susanne's practice, I have a couple of questions myself. So maybe I'll ask you one, Susanne.
I
I'll
have the
bring up.
question here about the video.
So again, oh, you
So,
found it. Good, good. Let me
sorry to
bring that up.
interrupt, but I found it.
No, no, that's great. Oh, yes, that's you.
Because I mean, Ruth, I think Ruth would get a kick out of that, seeing her relic, because you have that, you know, kind of living and workspace in one. And this is just me kind of documenting the finishing of one of those pieces where, you know, I have the photograph there and I just work from the photograph without any preliminary drawing on paper, and picked out, you know, 3 of the women that are shown in that, and then that ended up to be the piece, this one, which is just kind of, you know, just bisque fired. It's not treated with anything. It's just in its pure state, because I like the, you know, sometimes if you work on a plate like that, you know, the clay might dry differently, so you get a tiny bit of a marbling effect. Yeah, as you can see there.
So we're getting good at that, showing those images.
Yeah, God will. We can throw up. What I've heard the other day is people doing a digital bonfire. So it would be, you have a screen and everyone has their mobile, and they'd be like, oh, did you see this video? And then they share it on that screen, and then somebody else says, oh yeah, but have you seen that? And then, so I think that's how the young folks do it.
I'm not there yet. I mean, a couple of days ago, as you know, I booted myself out, so
I think
I'm very careful.
I think we're getting there.
So, yeah, the one I wanted to ask you about it is, I'm just looking. Oh, Michael is making a comment there. Love the microsculptures. The microsculptures. Are we referring to the small pieces then? That's okay. Let's go there then. Let me.
Because those were the ones that Owen McLaughlin picked out as well when he was writing about.
I don't know if I have them here. Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, I might have to go somewhere else to actually.
Yeah, I think if you go to the Kunstmatrix one.
Yeah, just give me a second. I'm just going to remove that for a second.
Yeah, so for the little sculptures, I think I even have I have a little video treat of that too, if if I'm not ahead of myself and I can actually find it. Yeah, with those, like they're kind of a diary entry. So in terms of how it fits into Sitzfleisch, there's 2 things. It's like you take clay, like a kind of meatball size piece of clay, and then I would work on it over the day, and kind of it would have the kind of the marks of the pushes and pulls and the holes that you kind of put into it, trying to kind of keep busy and also kind of be in a meditative state and be doing something, trying, and I was, trying to put my emotions and kind of the feelings of that day into them, to, fantasizing about that one day people might look at them and then understand what I was feeling that day, or what, kind of what was happening. So it's, kind of an expression in material, which doesn't come from any drawing, but then from those I actually made drawings of them, because they just captured something that, I couldn't understand, and I still think I can't. They do have a date on the bottom that tells you what, when they were actually created, 2019, early 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, that's another one that one looks a bit like a flower, and it's nice to just see them from different angles, and it's also a reflection on, everything that you see. It really depends on what, what angle you're looking at it from, and that for me is, I don't know, it's quite kind of enticing and intriguing about thinking of working 3D, to have something that kind of exists in the space, that has different angles. That's why I think the layering from my work comes into that, because I don't, I like things that reveal themselves to a viewer, or, even myself. I look at my stuff all the time, over time, and from different angles and perspectives. So that's something that I find really attractive. And
how did you go about firing them, by the way?
I was lucky enough to have access to a kiln. Yeah, but I
Katie
didn't.
is asking. Yeah. Hi, Katie.
But I didn't get. Hey, Katie. I didn't get access to it again. So that's. I mean, for those, I decided I didn't want to glaze them or, treat them with anything. But I also, here in Dublin, I took an evening class at the college where I did my degree at NCAD, and they have evening classes, and I went, kind of weekly there, and of course they had access to kiln and to somebody who, can tell you about all the different processes, and, if you're using earthenware or stoneware, the temperatures and all that. So yeah, that's, it's always helpful, but it's very, very rare.
Yes, in fact, Katie is asking whether you had to remake any because of cracks, the life of the ceramicist.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of things. Yeah, of course. It always happens, and just it's that split second. It mightn't even happen just in the kiln, but in your own, kind of pressing on one of those plates in kind of the wrong point. But with the plates, I would just take a mold and then kind of try to recreate what I had before, to kind of start again from where I was at. With 3D, of course, you're completely lost and you have to start again. Didn't I want to show you something?
I think you did, yes. Meanwhile, I was asking, and I was thinking, sorry, the one that you've just shown, the incrustations, we also have drawings. I'm showing one here at the moment. And in terms of the thought process, of the actual creation process, which one came first?
The sculpture. The kind of intuitive diary sculpture came first, and then the drawing, and then from the drawing, or drawings, because I have several. This one is with oil, and then I have charcoal as well. And then, I incorporated that in printing from the drawing that I made, and incorporating it into the work. So I do like kind of reusing and replicating, because it's never the same, and it always brings in a new meaning, and you're always kind of referencing. And I mean that's how, you know, a lot of, you know, kind of thinking works, because you do have your own kind of patterns and models of thinking, and to try and observe them and incorporate like different motifs.
There's one work in the show that I wanted to ask about. Let's see if I can share it now. This 4-piece work, and in fact it features the incrustation, right? We can actually see it there. Could you take us through that work? Because I find it quite fascinating. First of all, the composition, the way you have 4 painting in one. It's not a triptych, it's a 4-piece work. And then the way that you repeat some of the motifs or patterns, which I think is a constant in your work. Maybe you could take us through that.
For that one, it is. We have a couple of questions there. We're gonna look at them in a moment. I'm just gonna chat about that work. I called it Viertakt. I don't even know the English one, 4-stroke, because it's, you know, kind of to have a, you know, because it's made out of 4 individual canvases, and I've worked like that before in one of my bigger pieces that was shown in Dublin in the Lab Gallery, and now is in Germany, my show in Germany. And for that, I just, because also, you know, in these times, like working big, you're thinking of, you have to build the stretcher, you have to have a space to store it, you have to have a space to make it that way. And so that there's a practical reasoning for kind of splitting up work. And also it's, you know, kind of it's referencing artists that do that. For example, you know, Hockney has a lot of those, you know, looking at different angles and piecing together things. And I like the individual piece to work on its own as well as a whole. And you just treat it differently if it's separated than as one whole. And I find that just very intriguing. How do you make a move from one to the other? Is there kind of a nice transition? Is there a break? Is there a theme that walks to the other one? Like, I don't know how big we can get that there. But I mean, I'm using prints of the sculpture on them, kind of tying them together. But also on the top, oh my God, right, left, you know, the top one with the little person multiplied, that's on skis. That's me on skis as a kid. So that is only contained in that image. And for me, in terms of, you know, it's that piece, Viertakt, is a bit about kind of childhood and, you know, being on skis, you fall, it's, you know, but you get up again. So it's a bit about kind of failing, but also learning to fail and accepting to fail. And then, you know, maybe that was easy as a child, maybe it wasn't that easy, but you didn't put too much thought in it. But as you grow older and experience life in its many different ways, it might be something you struggle with, you know, it might be something you struggle with, kind of that element of kind of failure and having to kind of go at it again and give it another go and you know, kind of have the kind of courage and perseverance and belief to try again.
I love that piece. And I must say, I can't wait to see it in the gallery so that people know all the works at the moment are with Susanne. So the plan, and the gallery is reopening on the 8th of June. So the plan really is for Susanne and myself to install the exhibition in the gallery, possibly around the 6th and the 7th of June. And I must say, I just can't wait to hang this 4-piece. I have an idea
Mhm.
where it should go, but again, because I haven't really seen the works in the flesh yet, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting to kind of actually find a place for it and see, because I mean it's always difficult kind of photographing work and kind of reproducing it that way and
mm,
making it seen to a wider public that can't be in the gallery and see the piece in the flesh. May it be down to circumstances like now with the pandemic or just geographically. But yeah, seeing something on the texture or like I'm working on fabric, there might be a thread, the outside, like the outside, there's, kind of you see the pattern, there's the different elements of the print on it, and then
oops, I wanted to disappear and just show you, but I didn't manage to do that.
don't worry, I think we're pretty well, and yeah, which I think it's fantastic. Isn't there a thing called Twitch? And you can just see it differently if you're in a room with the piece, and also in terms of is it very flat? Do you see the paint? Can you kind of distinguish the different elements and what medium is used? So I'm looking forward to that as well.
It's a big piece. I'm just saying hi to people who've just joined. Margie Dunn and Jacinta O'Reilly. Hello, how are you? Actually, we were talking about size. Regarding the small sculptures, the incrustations, have you ever considered scaling them up? Michael Nolan is asking. Is it something that would be of interest to you at some stage?
It would, I mean, that would be the coolest thing ever. To see something that's kind of born out of, making it with your hand and just, kind of feeling the material and indenting it in a very kind of physical, kind of human-sized way, and then to have that blown up and how it would kind of interact in the space and how it would take on just that dimension and that presence would be amazing. So yeah, anyone who's got a couple of quid to spare, we can talk about it. Put it in a park.
We have another question from Gary. What strikes me is the works reflecting for ordinary people in ordinary lives. Any ideas how we can open the arts, such as your works, to the ordinary people? Being one of 17 children, I class myself as an ordinary person.
Ah, cool, Gary. Thanks for sharing your story and your experience. So I think like I like. Thank you for your comment on the way it may relate to ordinary life and be kind of open itself up maybe more easily than something more kind of abstract or removed from your own experience, and the way to bring those things to the public. What's your take on it, Olivier? To like more of a
Well, I think there's already a lot like that in Ireland. The question is, how do those places promote themselves? There's a lot of, there's about 30 different galleries in Dublin, and I think possibly, and that's just an opinion, I think that the problem at times is how do we promote, how does the media promote those places? Because there's a lot of art that would fall into that category, Gary, that is actually on display in Ireland. I think the problem, and hopefully that will change after the pandemic, that the media will pay a bit more attention to the visual arts in Ireland. I think that's sometimes a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
On television, for instance, we see very, very little visual art. So
Mm.
how do people get to know about all those exhibitions happening?
Yeah.
And there is actually quite a lot of
Mm.
exhibitions. It's just about, I suppose, promoting them properly,
Yeah. I think it's a very kind of manifold issue in terms of kind of who sees themselves like from a kind of visitor's perspective, like who sees themselves as a gallery goer, like I think it's definitely just being kind of encouraged to look at art. And if you go into a gallery like Olivier's gallery, he's always there. You can ask questions, you can talk about the work. Like, people just assume that everyone that goes into a gallery is someone who can afford art, and that's not the case at all. It's
Mhm.
more of just kind of actually going to a gallery and asking questions. And it's you yourself, Olivia, you're happy if somebody
Yes,
comes.
and I mean, we could talk about this forever, Gary, but I think the problem in Ireland is that members of the public don't really know that much about all the galleries that there are in Dublin. There are a lot of galleries in Dublin, quite a lot when you think about
Mm,
it. How many of people attending tonight know about my gallery? I don't know. They know about you now. Do they know about the other artists that I exhibit? Talking about ordinary art. There's a lot of that. I
mm,
think for me, the challenge is how do we, and again, I'm doing my utmost to promote my artists, but how does the media, how can the media help really,
mm, mm,
Um, what is it that people read? Do people know about the ticket in the Irish Times every Saturday? About online e-zines like or D-Notes, Visual Artists Ireland. There's actually a lot happening. It's just that the public doesn't always know about it.
mm.
So there's a lot of work to be
Yeah,
done, and I think the media
yeah.
can help.
And also in terms of, let's just wrap up this question. I'm aware
Mm.
that we're kind of there's a lot of meat on it, which brings us back to Sitzfleisch. But it's also kind of bringing it to younger people. There's a lot of programs who bring schools into galleries to kind of discuss and talk about an artwork. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of initiative, but for us, it would be important for, you know, people like Gary to, tell all the other siblings about the show and about the gallery, and that you can actually kind of ask artists questions about their work, because they'd be happy to answer. And we have a question,
Yeah, we have a
regarding
question.
monument.
Yes.
John, hi John. Yeah, the monument, you can see there's, that kind of building there looks like a monument. But for me, it's more about that meat. Hang on, I'm trying to put my hand in a way that represents the. It's just because I'm mirrored. Yeah. So the meat that's incorporated here is a type of German specialty called sausage salad, and you'd cut up. So this might be a long-winded story, but you cut up the meat and or sausage, and you have it as a salad. Very healthy indeed. And for me, the cutting up of the meat represents a sort of kind of piecing, a disruption, kind of having to, like reflecting on the creative process as such. That there's, that you have to kind of pick your different pieces to make sense or make it bigger, like make a meaning of things, and it might be very kind of entangled and unsure. And for me, this is just kind of making that kind of monument of that part of the artistic process, the creative process that can be so crushing, and that can be kind of just very anxious, because you're doing something but nothing's really fitting together. It's all, you have to stare, and it doesn't make sense yet, but you have to keep going, and you have to remind yourself. And I mean, I think it doesn't only apply to the creative process. I mean, it applies to kind of life itself, kind of the human condition to, even though those things might be hard and difficult and not make sense, to kind of be aware that that's what is happening, and that you're gonna, if you, if you're persistent, you might twist that and actually get something out of it. That was very long-winded, wasn't it?
That was fine.
So thanks again for everyone that's there. I think we have like some names that I'm only noticing now. So thanks so much for coming. Aurélie is a great name. Oh, Gary, thank you, and thanks to Kath for coming, and Michael and Margie and Katie and Owen, Tom, Ruth, Dee, Philomena, Fiona. Oh God, Fiona, I haven't seen that she was already there. Michael, Valentina, Brenda. Yeah, this is fantastic. And I'm not sure, we mightn't see everything here because we're in a different mask to be able to stream the way that we're streaming, with our two faces and a presentation and this and that. So afterwards, we'll be able to see kind of the full extent of the comments. But we're super thankful that you're taking that time out of your day and asking questions and being so engaged. So that's very beautiful. Thank you.
And again, the show will be in the gallery pretty soon. Actually, June is just around the corner at this stage now. Meanwhile, I'm just actually displaying the link to the space, the 3D virtual space, where you can go. And we launched that space for Susanna's exhibition. So there's only one exhibition there in that space, and it's Susanna's exhibition. So I will invite, if you haven't done so yet, to really have a look. It's fun, actually, to walk into that space and see those works that we've been talking about tonight and more. And hopefully, when we reopen the gallery on the 8th of June, it's going to be by appointment only for a while. I just want to take this in a very prudent way. So that, it's all about people's safety, my safety, and the artist's safety as well. So we will allow people to walk into the gallery by appointment only for a while. And so get in touch with me or Susanna if you'd like to see the exhibition when we reopen after the 8th, and the show will be available until the 12th of June. And we have work by Susanna in the gallery as well at all times, so you're more than welcome to walk into the gallery. Gary, I hope we answered your question, and feel free to come to the gallery. I'm the sort of person, when people walk into the gallery, I'll tell you about the other galleries as well. I'll tell you about all the non-commercial galleries where possibly there's exhibitions that you might be interested in as well. Each gallery in Dublin has a mine of information about other exhibitions as well, so I'm happy to share that. I don't know if we have any other questions. Thanks for saying that, Brenda. It's great that you've enjoyed it.
And Brenda,
There's a comment for you from Shivan. I've just learned that we can actually display comments. Look,
Oh,
I never knew that
wow.
before.
No,
I
I
pressed
didn't.
the
Yeah,
wrong
sorry.
button.
Sorry,
So
everyone. Of course, we would like to, kind of have you in that. That's fantastic. Oh, that's a new feature. We're discovering new stuff with
we're
all
still
the time.
learning about all that. So
Yeah.
Shivan, we're sharing your
Oh,
comments now.
that's beautiful. Super. Ah, cool. I'm just zoning out at the moment. I'm just kind of relieved and happy that, like, because of course, like the most pressing one is like, is it going to work technically? Like, are we going to break up? Is it, are we able to talk? Are people able to tune in? So I'm happy that that worked and that we could really kind of look at, just parts of the work and maybe how they tie together and how it relates to kind of my practice, but also to, kind of my autobiography and the themes I explore in my work, and also, kind of the breadth. I'm happy to have been able to show, like I said last time, the work that's below the tip of the iceberg. Like everything else. Like last time I read a poem, so I thought I don't know. Will I do it again?
Please do. Susanne is a poet as well as being a virtual artist. So
Yeah. Kind of this one is Fragments of Mind, and it's a book. Well, one of the collaborations with my partner collaborator Kevin Nolan, and in this, because the visual, yeah, there's a huge visual element into it, in it, where the book is we're picking. Okay, basically, sorry. The book is almost out of print, so I'm not trying to sell you anything. So there's like, we're working from colors and then writing a poem each to take that color. And I noticed that there's, for one of the colors, we actually wrote poems about kind of sitting somewhere. So this is how I'm tying it to the whole Sitzfleisch. And it's very interesting if you're collaborating, and we had the title of the work and then each wrote a poem but didn't show each other before it was completed, so they wouldn't be influenced by each other. And I think mine is one of the poems I really enjoy. It's called Ibis, and Ibis is, we're using unusual names for colors. It's more like an apricot, kind of beautiful peachy apricot color. And I'm just going to read it. Ibis. The sun goes down on Walnut Avenue. I sit in a rocking chair on the wood-paneled veranda, smoking into the apricot sky. The crickets and birds are performing an evening symphony. I rock back and forth, wrapped in a towel after a shower rinsed off the sweat and strain of a long day. The juicy green of the trees trickles down, wrapping me in a layer of soft, luscious leaves. Back and forth I rock, gently, lightly, steadily, so comforting, warming, like a motherly embrace. Soon sleep will take over. Carry me away through the branches to sing with the creatures. I'm in a cradle. The crickets dance with the leaves. My mother smokes a towel and the sun turns into a walnut. Back and forth, back and 4. Thanks for listening. And like it knocked you out, didn't it, Olivier? You were just gone.
Yes, I wanted people to see just you, so I found a way. For 5 minutes, I was only displaying myself, so I said, "Oh shoot!" So I'm we're still learning about the whole thing, and maybe just to say a few words as well. That these online events, they've been quite good because this is the opportunity for the artist really to talk to visitors, something that we don't necessarily do in a gallery unless we organize a separate event, So going forward and for a while, openings with people attending, physically in the gallery, they're out. So I can see that, we're going to be doing a bit of that in the future. And obviously the gallery will be open as well. But in terms of, artists meeting people, that's possibly the way forward for some time to come.
I think, and I mean, I always enjoy kind of artist talks. Like I'm addicted to kind of watching and listening to artist talks, and I think that's definitely also, like as kind of Gary kind of referred to, it's a way of opening kind of the work to anyone, just because you can ask questions, you get a bit of background information, and I think it's definitely a way to get into kind of looking at art and seeing art and exploring art.
Yeah, that's good. So just to say thanks to everyone who again took the time to be with us tonight, and thanks for your feedback.
I've got my party hat.
Oh, great! I don't have one, so.
Sorry, I'm bringing in the comedic element, but.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, do that, please. You're the artist, so you're supposed to do that. So again, I hope we'll see some of you in the gallery. Don't be shy, You can also have a look at the exhibitions page. We have a new show mid June, and actually Susanna is in that show. It's a group show. It's the Bloomsday 2020 group show. So I'm quite excited about this. And again, the gallery will be open then. But again, we'll do an official opening online. So you won't see just one artist like Susanna tonight. You see possibly 5 or 6 different artists with me. And we'll be talking about their work as well. That's going to happen on Bloomsday, which is on the 16th of June. So that should be interesting. And Susanna will be back for that as well. But again, I really, really hope that some of you will come and visit in the gallery to actually see Sitzfleisch in the flesh. All puns intended.
Yes, very good. And yeah, I'm very happy. Thanks for everyone, to everyone. See, I lost my speech already, so.
That's all right.
I'm now kind of in relaxed mode, and I'm very thankful for everyone that joined and asked questions. And also, if you're watching the replay, that's even better, because you have the opportunity to watch back and look at this, or even if you haven't been in the live stream. So yeah.
Thank you, Susanna, and again, thanks everyone. And we're going to end this broadcast, and I'll see you in our studio room shortly, Susanna. Don't leave, okay? Bye-bye, everyone, and thanks again.
Everyone. Lots of Sitzfleisch. Bye.